Hi, welcome back to the Weekly Why. This week we have Parsha Beshalach. This is a really exciting Parsha because we have a lot of incredible things happening, including the Exodus and the splitting of the Sea of Reeds, or the Red Sea. And so this week I actually want to address one particular idea. And so we've seen the 10 plagues, really, or we're finishing up the 10 plagues. We have really the most incredible miracles happening here, and we have all this happening by really being led by Moses. And so it raises a certain question here as to, okay, well, who was this guy Moses, and what exactly qualified him to be a leader of the Jewish people? I mean, if you think about it, Moses himself never actually was enslaved in Egypt. In fact, he was part of Egyptian royalty. I mean, he was left by his parents, and he was adopted by the Egyptian royal family. And so it seems very odd that who is this guy who suddenly marches onto the scene and says, you know what, I'm going to free the Jewish people because I heard God speak from a bush. I mean, if we heard that today, I think we might be just a little bit skeptical of it. And so I think that the reasons that he was so successful is that there was more to him than just some pampered rich boy who wanted to take on a pet cause like Angelina Jolie. Moses was not some bored Hollywood celebrity who just wanted to take on a pet cause here. There was something much deeper to it. And so I think if we take a look right back at the beginning of the book of Exodus, the book of Shemot, we see a little bit of background as to who Moses was, and hopefully that should give us some understanding as to kind of his pedigree, let's say. So right at the beginning of the book of Exodus, I think it's chapter 2, has a description of Moses' parents. It says, a man from Levi, the tribe of Levi, went up from Levi and met a woman from Levi. She conceived and had a son. So this very innocuous, very throwaway statement says a couple things. One is that Moses was born of a man and a woman. There wasn't some sort of a divine birth heralded by angels and doves. He was born of a man and a woman. That's it. Very normal birth. And it also says, she conceived and had a son. Once again, nothing miraculous, no virgin births, no kings, or just very regular birth. Fine. Now here in this, coming to this parsha again, we have really the culmination of Moses' leadership. And once again, it can make you, getting back to our original question, what exactly qualifies some rich pampered boy from the Egyptian royal family to claim that he's basically the leader of the Jewish people, when he experienced none of what the Jewish people are clamoring to get out of Egypt about anyway? And it's interesting, there are 3 leadership lessons from Moses' life, which I think are instructive. One of them is when the Egyptian was beating the Hebrew, and Moses beat the Egyptian, and he actually killed him, and then he buried the body. And so the one lesson here is that we can say that here, I think most of us, if we were in a similar circumstance, we might not necessarily do the same thing, but we would hope that we would at least stand in for somebody, a family member who was being beaten to death. And so here we can say, okay, Moses definitely went outside his comfort zone to defend someone and put his own life risk his own life. But, I can see why he would intellectually want to do it, even though it was a little bit hard to do and is probably risky to do. But fine, he definitely went outside of his comfort zone there. Second episode from Moses' life is when the 2 Hebrews were fighting. Here, I think we would be a little more hesitant to do that, because here we're basically sticking our nose into an argument of which we really have no knowledge of and we have no personal involvement with. So here Moses, he sees 2 Hebrews fighting. He sticks his nose into it, not because he was trying to stick his nose into it, but because he truly, genuinely cared about the Jewish people, and he didn't want to see 2 family members, 2 Hebrews fighting. And so this is why Moses stepped in and did that. And I think here we have another lesson, is that Moses went even further outside his comfort zone. And we similarly might not like to see 2 Jews fighting, or 2 Jews, going at each other like this, but we probably wouldn't do anything. We probably wouldn't even consider doing anything. Why? Because it's outside of our comfort zone, and it's just not our business. And thirdly, we have an even greater lesson in leadership from Moses, when at the well of Midian, he sees 2 groups of non-Jews, a group of non-Jews, basically ransacking another, and that's where he meets Yocheved, his wife. Or excuse me, Tzipporah, his wife. And so here's an even better leadership examples. Here, the first one we have, okay, Moses, he sees one guy beating up a member of his family, the Jewish people. Of course he's going to stand in, even if there was a risk. Fine. The second lesson is here we have two members of his family going at each other. Okay, he probably would want to, but he wouldn't, at the same time, wouldn't want to stick his nose into something he didn't belong. But here, here are two strangers, one stranger attacking another stranger. What possible reason could Moses have for sticking his nose into this and protecting somebody? And I think here is a real leadership lesson for Moses, and what qualifies Moses to, even though he was a pampered, palace boy, be the leader of the Jewish people and take them out of Egypt, is that here he took himself way out of his comfort zone to take care of people he didn't even know. And so I think certainly the lesson for us today, and the lesson that we can take from Moses, and what made a regular, by all standards, guy become the greatest prophet in the history of the Jewish people and lead the Jewish people out of Egypt, is that he's a guy who went outside of his comfort zone to take care of people he didn't even know. And so I think the lesson for us, once again, should be pretty clear, is that we should reflect on this and to say, okay, well, you know what? Moses didn't come from some great pedigree, neither did I, but what exactly did he do that took him outside of his comfort zone, and that made him meritorious enough to take the Jewish people out of Egypt and be the greatest prophet ever? So I think it's incumbent on all of us to take a look at ourselves, look in the mirror, and stop and think, what exactly are the things in my life which I know I should be doing, but I'm not quite at that point yet. I haven't quite been able to push myself into that comfort zone, out of that comfort zone. And so I think, once again, we have to stop and ask ourselves, what are the things I know which are right, I should be doing, but I'm just not quite comfortable enough doing yet. And I think if we can really put our effort into achieving those goals and pushing ourselves outside of those comfort zones, then we'll have the same merit as Moses and achieve many of the same great things. So that's Parsha Beshalach. Best wishes, Shabbat Shalom, God bless.